today I'm with Mrs. Cirino. Hello there.
Hello.
I'm so happy to be here with you and learn a lot about you. So I know that you are married to Bobby Cirino.
That's right.
And Bobby was a former student here back when we first started.
Mm-hmm.
Was Bobby here from the beginning?
Yeah, he was pretty much here from the beginning.
Okay. And what brought you meet this family, the Cirino family? Do they talk to you about the charter school? Do you find out when you say, hey, where'd you go to school? How did that work?
So at the time, I met Bob at University of Delaware. So during college, I was an English education major. So one of the first times I went over to the Cirino house for dinner, the meet the parents of the boyfriend kind of situation, we talked about education. And so it just kind of naturally came up that Mark Cirino helped to found the charter school. And he told me a little bit about his vision behind it. And I really loved everything that he had to say. So it was an awesome way to connect with the Cirino family. And yeah, it was really exciting learning about the charter school that way. And then of course, Bob shared his thoughts and experiences with me kind of just throughout time as well about how much he loved charter.
So after you graduated, you're like, I think I might want to try to work there.
So, oh my gosh, after we graduated, my life was kind of all over the place for a while. So we got engaged. Bob moved to the Dominican Republic because he was working on an environmental development project there. So the entire year of being engaged, he was there. I actually got a job teaching in Maryland for a year. So we were very far apart.
Oh my gosh.
And then at the end of the year, he said to me, there's more opportunity for me here. Would you ever consider moving
back
to the DR with me for a while? And I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Oh my
gosh. I was like, now's the time for adventure, we're just getting married. We don't have any kids yet or anything. So I left Maryland, and right after the wedding, we moved to the Dominican Republic. So
wow.
I was there for half a year. It was an amazing experience.
Tell me the most amazing thing that you did there.
Oh my gosh. There's so much, but probably the most amazing thing to me is that essentially we lived in the jungle. So Bob built a house out of materials there, and it was very open. Like most of it was just a porch, and we were just surrounded by palm trees.
Wow.
And, we would pick up coconuts, and he'd crack it open with a machete, and I'd drink right from the coconut.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, pretty amazing. And a beautiful, undeveloped beach that was just a walk away, and amazing mountains and waterfalls.
Oh, I love this experience. Yeah. That is so awesome.
The people there were amazing because it was just really a small fisherman's village. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like a resort or something else that you might experience in the DR. It was more just pure community, and it was awesome. Yeah.
I love that story. That's a great story. And you'll always have it. And it is really hard to do that after you get settled and family and all of that. So that was awesome timing.
Right. So then we came back, and it was kind of the middle of a school year. So I ended up substitute teaching for a while, and I did some tutoring. And then when we lived in Philly, I worked at a library doing an after-school program. I worked as an escape room game master at the Franklin Institute.
I love that.
Yeah, that was really
Did you ever use that in the classroom? Now that you have that skill?
Yeah, I've used escape rooms before in the classroom, and it's really fun.
Yeah, that's motivating for kids.
Yeah.
They probably have a blast. I love it.
It was fun. But then after that, that's when I said, okay, I need to get into the classroom again. I want a full-time position teaching again. And so I just kind of started putting myself out there, revising my resume. And then I got a text from Mr. Arters. Mr. Arters is one of Bob's best friends. They grew up together. He was actually the best man in our wedding.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so Matt said, hey, there's an English position at Charter, because he was the video production teacher. And he was like, just letting you know, no pressure either way, but also it would be awesome if you worked here.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so I applied right away.
I love it.
And started coming in for interviews, and I guess the rest is history.
Now you started the school, and and you've heard about the school when you were in college. Is it what you thought it was going to be?
It is, yeah. I always heard about charter that the main goal was community and making every individual student feel cared for and special, and trying to get as much of like a hands-on discovery experience as possible. And although the numbers have clearly grown since Bob graduated with 30 people in his class or something like that, so our numbers have grown, but I think the school has really still retained that awesome sense of community and that just embrace of all sorts of different kinds of people, and that just special charter character that you can't really put the words to. I
love that. So you don't call him Bobby, you call him Bob.
No, I call him Bob. He introduced himself as Bob, and it's funny to me because his family calls him Bob and charter people call him. His family calls him Bobby and charter people call him Bobby. Those are the only people who call him Bobby.
That's funny.
But it's so cute because it makes me feel even more like charter is family, because they call him Bobby just like his family does.
And that's why I call him Bobby, because his dad always called him Bobby.
Yep.
And I have a Bobby at home. I'm more of a Rob, but I call my husband Bobby sometimes because Friends was popular at the time and there was that fun Bobby episode. So it's stuck and I call him occasionally Bobby. So I have a little Bobby at home too.
Yeah.
So the hybrid, how's this going for you?
So it's a bit of a whirlwind. Today is day 2 of hybrid. So I've got students in the classroom and on Zoom at the same time. It's definitely a lot to keep track of. So a little bit stressful, a little bit uncomfortable still, but I do feel really encouraged seeing students here again. I think the students are enjoying being back. They are more productive. They're more motivated. So I do think it's a good change of pace, even though it might be a little bit difficult starting out.
Exactly. Tell me about a skill maybe that you picked up through this online experience.
Well, one thing I have definitely gotten better at is multitasking. You have to have a lot of stuff open on your computer at one time to keep track of everything. But I've found little ways here and there to kind of make that something that is really beneficial. So, for example, I use this warm-up website called goformative.com, and I used it last year, but this year I find it even more valuable because as students are answering the warm-up questions, I can see in real time their answers popping up. So whether they're in the room or at home, I know if they're doing the warm-up, and I get a good kind of glimpse at if they're understanding the material and what we might need to go over that day, depending on their answers to the warm-up. So just little tools like that have been really helpful.
I love all the technology pieces, like the apps and things like that teachers are discovering through this process. There are so many. All right, so let's talk more about what you like to do outside of school. So what's your favorite thing to do outside of school?
I think my favorite thing would have to be being in nature. So whether that means I'm biking on a trail or taking a long hike or on a picnic somewhere in nature, that just I find is a really great thing, not only for my mental health, but also just for fun and for feeling a little bit more peaceful and a little bit more like I get a chance to play. Being outside is always good for everybody.
Where's your favorite place to hike?
So I have favorite places around here, which are anywhere around White Clay Creek. When I went to UD, that was like my place that I would go to. If I was stressed about finals or something, I need to take a quick hike in White Clay Creek and feel better. But my favorite hiking experience of all time was when I studied abroad in India for 5 weeks over the winter session at UD.
You really went places.
Yeah. I love to travel. So over that experience, we actually took a trek in the Himalayan mountains, and we trekked from a part of India into Nepal, and we stayed in a hiker's lodge. And right outside this hiker's lodge, you could see Mount Everest in the distance on the horizon, and it was just incredible.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Now, did you stay in like a hostel?
So it was a very tiny hiker's lodge is what they called it, and there was just a couple people who owned the property, and they had cows and goats all over the place, and we sat around the fire talking about our hike and talking about different Hindu gods and myths.
Wow.
As part of what we were learning in our class. So it was awesome.
I stayed in some hostels when I was doing my abroad and teaching abroad, and sometimes they were scary places. So I had to I started staying in little bed and breakfast places because I felt like sharing a bathroom with a whole building was a little too much for me. But it can be very interesting when you're young, traveling, and what you'll accept to do when you're out there. More daring than you'll ever be as an adult.
Exactly.
Tell me about what you said something about a farm. I hear that you love a farm.
Yeah.
And that's your dream. You want to own a farm?
Yeah, Bob and I have a dream of having a farm someday. He's really into agriculture, always has been. You know, he started or helped start the Green Initiative here back in the day. And that's really when he's happiest, and I love that too, so we share that. And we are homeowners in West Grove. We bought a home last year, and we do have a small garden. I wouldn't call it a farm, but it's pretty sizable for just a backyard garden. So we have grown all sorts of herbs and vegetables and flowers, but we would love someday to expand and, you know, maybe get ourselves a property that has a bigger farm, and he would love to kind of do that for life. So,
well, you're on the right place.
Yeah, true.
Will you have all kinds of animals? Will it be more cows? Does he want to get into like with milk or cheese, or what's the specialty do you want in the farm?
So I think mostly it would be plant-based.
Got
it. Vegetables, fruits. He's very interested in nut trees, so growing like hickories and chestnuts and things like that.
That's cool.
But I really want to have goats. I just love goats. I think they're silly and cute. And
do you go down and see the goats here?
Yeah.
I love that.
And I love goat cheese, so I would probably take
on the cheese.
Take on the goat cheese. Yeah.
All right then. Tell me about your cat.
My cat, her name is Naya. She's gray and she has these white paws, and on the back legs, her white spot goes all the way up to her knees. So we say they're her little socks.
She's your baby.
Yeah, I love her. And we got her when we were in Philly. She's almost 3 years old now.
Oh my gosh.
And she can be a little terror, definitely. She can be a mess, but she can also be really adorable and cuddly. And she's just so fun to have around.
Love that. Yeah. Tell me about your favorite book. So you're the sophomore English teacher.
Yes.
So what's your favorite book?
So I have a lot of books that I've enjoyed over the years, but the one that is closest to my heart is The Giver, because I read it in middle school, and that book was the reason that I loved reading, that I got an interest for it, that I got excited about it, that I wanted to read more and explore more of what books had to offer. The dystopian world that it created just really sparked my interest, and it made me really excited to just continue reading all sorts of different kinds of books, and ultimately I think eventually led me to wanting to become a teacher, since I read it in school too.
I love that story. Up there I see your quote. It says, "Be curious, not judgmental." Walt Whitman. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that. Is that one of your favorites?
It's one of my favorite quotes. I love Song of Myself by Walt Whitman in general. I had one of his quotes on my graduation cap at UD. Mm-hmm. It said, "I am this mystery, here we stand," which just I think is awesome, because it presents such a boldness and an excitement for the fact that we don't have everything figured out in life and it's all a mystery, but we stand and we face it and we can be excited for it even though it's so unknown. And I think the quote, "Be curious, not judgmental," is awesome even to go along with that too, because when we're learning new things or hearing new perspectives, it's really easy to come at something with judgment and assumption, but it makes life much better if you come at it with curiosity instead. So looking at everything as an opportunity to learn something new, even if it's maybe challenging, or maybe it's somebody who disagrees with you, instead of judging right away, just trying to learn and figure it out. So coming at it with a curious, open mind rather than a judgmental, closed mind.
Well, Hannah, I love that I got to meet you, and obviously I've known you, but really get to know you better.
Yeah.
And everybody else at the Avon Grove Charter School community can get to know you and see what Hannah's all about and the Cirino family. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, or you think we covered it?
I think we covered it.
I think we did
Yeah.
too.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy.